Let's talk about cheese. I know it's tough for you to give up cheese. It was tough for me to give up cheese, but look, it's something we need to avoid at all costs. There's absolutely no nutritional benefit to eating cheese, and I'm going to explain to you why. And if it's been tough for you to actually make that transition and give up cheese, I'm going to give you a couple pointers and tips along the way as well. All right, so let's start. Look, I get why it's tough. I get why it's tough. For me, when I went vegetarian about 8 years ago, I held on to cheese. That was the main reason I was vegetarian and not vegan was because of cheese. It's very tough for me. I grew up on cheese. I'm sure you grew up on cheese too. It's like a staple of so many of our favorite foods, from pizza, from pasta, Mexican food. And from a cultural standpoint, like for me, that's extremely tough. My mom made a lot of cheese enchiladas or love pastas, lasagna, huge, huge with me. Pizza's always been one of my favorite foods. So giving up cheese, 100% not easy. But when we're talking about the transition to health, it has to be done. It's something that ultimately has to be done if you want to get yourself in a better position. Most of the main diseases that are killing us are terrain-based diseases. And when we're talking about terrain-based diseases, this is a buildup of years and years and years of eating foods like cheese. All right. So it's imperative that you wean yourself or get on the transition to ultimately eliminate it for good. All right. Look, it's very simple. We're not cows. We are not baby cows. We're not calves, right? We are human beings. So there's absolutely no logical reason for us to consume anything produced by a female cow. It makes absolutely no sense. And I know we all get bombarded with the protein propaganda out there, the protein myths. Well, let me break something down to you and make it as simple as possible. All right. We need amino acids. Proteins are what some would call complete amino acids, but protein from a cow produces a complete cow protein. So our body as a human has to take that cow protein, break it down into its individual amino acids, and be able to salvage whatever is left in that process. And then ultimately take those amino acids and try to build it into a human protein. That is a lot of processes, a lot of layers that your body has to go to and uses a lot um, of its energy, of its vitality in order to do that. And anytime we're consuming energy, we are taking energy away from ourselves to rebuild, replenish, and regenerate our body. So right then and there from the jump, lets you know there's absolutely no reason we need to be consuming anything from a cow at all. Right. Unfortunately, we've just been programmed and we're trying to work through that programming together. All right. I know it's tough for you. It was tough for me as well. Okay. And then the next thing you'll hear is, people talk about lactose intolerance, right? We are all lactose intolerant because we are not cows. We are not supposed to be able to tolerate lactose. Like our body's not built for that. So what you see is you'll see different levels of tolerance. All right. If you eat a piece of cheese and it automatically puts you in the bathroom, you don't have a lot of tolerance. Yes. And that's what they call lactose intolerance. But there's just different levels because there's people out there that can eat it for their entire lives until one day they have a massive heart attack and don't see the causation from them eating cheeseburgers every day for the last 50 years. So it all correlates. There's just different levels of tolerance. If you look from a cultural standpoint, right? You look at the Asian culture, they're roughly 90% what the medical system would diagnose as lactose intolerant. The Black and brown population, like Hispanics and Africans and whatnot, are roughly around 50% what the medical system would call lactose intolerant. And then if you look at the Caucasian population, they're somewhere around 10 to 20%. And all that means is that from generations, if you go back generationally, they're more tolerant because they've been consuming it for longer periods of time. But understand, that tolerance is not a good thing. And I'm going to give you a great comparison. Look at alcohol, right? If you just start drinking alcohol, you have a very low tolerance. One shot may put you over the edge, one beer may make you drunk. But as you continue to drink, that tolerance builds. Now, let me ask you this. Is that a good thing? Is it good to be able to go to the bar and consume 10 beers and not be fazed? No, it's not. Because you're consuming poison and you're just tolerating that poison. And what happens is that poison, as you're able to tolerate it initially, just builds up into bigger, more chronic issues within your body. It's the same thing with cheese, the same exact concept, because it is poison to your body. It is ultimately acid forming. We want to consume alkaline food so our body can be alkaline dominant, not completely alkaline, but alkaline dominant. It is imperative that we consume foods that were built for the human anatomy. And those are going to be your fruits, your leafy greens, your nuts, and your seeds. When you throw cheese in the mix with all of that, it completely throws off the balance of your body for a number of different reasons. All right. It's extremely dehydrating, absolutely dehydrating. It's extremely fattening. I already talked about the protein aspect, but the fat that comes along with it as well causes numerous amounts of issues within the body. Because anytime you're consuming protein, like excess amounts of protein, which you get with your cheese, your body has to work harder. I talked about breaking that down. So when your cells have to work harder, that means they have more cellular and acidic waste, more cellular debris, and they have to eliminate. That means your body has to eliminate even at a more rapid rate. The problem is that when you're consuming foods that have high fat intake as well, as does cheese, it blocks up the elimination pathways. So now you're working your body more and you're stopping and halting it from being able to eliminate. Add that to the fact that it's dehydrating as well, and now your body is not hydrated enough to eliminate. That's why so many people end up being constipated after they eat cheese. It checks so many boxes to tell you there is absolutely no reason I should be consuming this. Absolutely none. And the last part is, look, your body will tell you when you eat cheese and you eat dairy, your body has a mucosa response. It creates mucus. And the reason it creates mucus is because your body is trying to protect the vital organs from the acidic forming food that is dairy and cheese. So your body creates all this mucus. That's why after you eat a pizza, or after you eat ice cream the next day, most likely you're going to be stuffed up. That's why the majority of society has allergies and stuffy noses and colds all the damn time. It's very simple. You eliminate cheese, you eliminate dairy, and watch how those things change. Man, I haven't had a cold. I can't tell you the last time I had a cold. I don't have allergies anymore. I mean, these things, it's very simple things. I always say this, you can read as many studies as you want, but do the studies on yourself. Okay? Just eliminate dairy for a few months and watch and see the differences. And look, it's not easy. I'm here to tell you a few different alternatives. They're coming out with so many different alternatives. And look, we're all at different levels. Okay? So what I would say is eating vegan cheese is definitely not healthy, but it is healthier than eating regular cheese. Okay, to an extent, right? It is processed, so there's different. But in my transition, I've noticed that eating vegan cheese did not make my body feel nearly as bad as eating just regular cheese. Okay, that's number one. But the biggest kicker, the biggest eye opener for me is that, look, even if you're eating cooked food, you don't have to have cheese. It is so mental. It is so much a mental thing. Case in point, me and my wife, when we do have cooked food once in a while, sometimes we'll want pizza, but we don't really do vegan cheese. We're not really into that. All right. It serves a purpose for people on transition. Don't get me wrong, like I said earlier, but we're not really into that. Like we try to keep everything as fresh and clean as possible without the processes. So we'll order a pizza without cheese. And out there might be like, "Are you crazy? You can't have pizza without cheese. That is pizza." No, it's not. It doesn't have to be. Like, we'll get a pizza with just sauce and a bunch of different veggies on it, and that thing is hitting. I'm telling you, what I do is, um, I'll go out, we'll order a pizza with tomato sauce, and then we'll add like artichoke, and we'll add she adds mushrooms. She's big into mushrooms. I'll add some green or red peppers on it, right? And then I'll get another side of marinara. I'll take the pizza and I'll dip it in that. And I'm telling you, I don't miss cheese at all. From a pizza standpoint, I don't miss cheese at all, and I'm telling you that it's a game changer. Now, they might look at you like you're crazy when you order it, but I'm telling you, it's good, and it will make you forget about cheese. Like, okay, I don't have to have cheese to have a good meal, you know? We're all on different levels here, right? You're making that transition to a healthier diet. Just start slowly, incrementally eliminating dairy and cheese out of your diet, and you'll be surprised. Like, you don't have to have butter on anything. You can make anything without butter, right? That's an easy one. Cheese seems to be the hardest one because, like, we're so fixated on it being such a staple of our diet. You know what I'm saying? If you're eating a veggie burger or anything like that, you don't have to have cheese. If you're eating pasta, you don't have to have cheese. All right. There's different ways to supplement your taste buds than adding cheese to the mix. Right. And if, look, you can't get you're having trouble getting away from not having that cheese taste in your mouth. There's a bunch of different options. For instance, like my daughter, she loves macaroni and cheese. So I made her a homemade vegan macaroni and cheese, and I made it out of, was it potatoes and carrots? All right, blended and all that good stuff. If anybody wants the recipe, reach out in the comments, let me know, and I'll share it with you. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. Now, is it the healthiest thing in the world? No, it's not the healthiest, but it's way healthier than eating Kraft mac and cheese or going to a restaurant or ordering whatever the hell they're putting in it. So, little things like that to help you on that transition, and your body will thank you for it. You will feel different. You will feel better. All right. Look, I completely understand cheese is extremely difficult to give up, but there are avenues. But it starts up here, understanding that, you know what, I don't need this. I don't need this to have a good meal. I don't need this to satiate my hunger. All right. So it's time to give up cheese. All right. Quit believing the protein myth. Okay. Understand what cheese is doing to your body. It is acid forming, it is dehydrating, it is constipating. All right. If you're able to tolerate it, that means that, look, all you're doing is passing the buck. That means you're okay now, but it's just building up over time. It's better to have those initial reactions. I look back on my life and I'm like, damn, I'm actually glad that my body lets me know immediately that I don't need to be consuming cheese. While the medical industry and society makes you feel like you're different, like you're an outsider, like you can't enjoy one of life's great gifts. No, fruit is nature's gift to the world. Understand that. All right. So quit with the protein myths. Understand that, look, you don't need this mucosa response. You don't need a body full of mucus. Like Professor Arid, as you can see in my book back there, he lets you know, like, you need to have a mucusless diet. All right. Eliminate dairy because dairy is the ultimate culprit to mucus. All right. Dr. Sebi said every disease, every sickness starts with mucus. We don't need to produce it. All it is, it's a bodily response to protect. But why do we need to give it anything to protect from in the first place? So I hope that resonates with all of you. Leave your comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Are you still eating dairy? If not, when did you give it up? Also, are you having trouble giving it up? And, could look for some pointers and things of that nature. Maybe you got some alternatives. Share those in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's help each other because it is difficult. Like when we're talking about staples, we're talking about meat, we're talking about coffee, we're talking about cheese. These are things that, like, have just been a part of society for so long and continue to be. But I see consciously we're starting to gravitate away from that. And I hate using that word gravitate, but it kind of relates just because you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, we got to move away from that. We're getting on the path to health. Cheese needs to be avoided at all costs. All right. Look, this resonates with you. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. All right. Thumbs up helped me so much as far as getting this message out to as many people as possible because look, I see on YouTube all the time, there are a lot of proponents of cheese. And that's sad because they're destroying the fabric of our society from a health standpoint, plain and simple. We have to spread our light, everybody. So, thumbs up, subscribe, share this, anything you can do to help spread the word because there's absolutely no reason we need to be consuming cheese, especially as much as we do. All right. Incremental steps, everybody. Y'all be good. Peace and love.